Hi friends, welcome in. Hope you're all doing well. So right now, if you are building a new PC and you're looking for a new way to cool your CPU with an all-in-one liquid cooler, the Corsair Pro XT line may very well be the best option right now in 2020, based on some of the numbers I got in my tests. So this video is sponsored by Corsair, as they did send me one of their newest 360 AIO liquid coolers, which is the H150i Pro XT. And these also come in the 240, 280 mil variants. Okay, so as always, my reviews will be unbiased whether I'm sponsored or not. And in this video, I'll be going over the specs as well as some comparisons with some of the other popular 360 mil AIO liquid coolers. Okay, now if you have a moment, comment down below and let me know what games you're playing right now, as we've been stuck indoors for the past couple months. I myself have been working on Resident Evil 2. I think it's a great game. If you guys are into horror, zombies, and puzzle solving, I highly recommend it. Anyways, let's get started with the review. Okay, when designing your desktop or room setup, it's important to have some flavor, and DISPLATE.com can help with that. Whether you're a minimalist who goes for abstract artwork, like these landscape paintings and geometric animals, or you prefer something more colorful, like superheroes from DC and the MCU, they've got you covered. But wait, there's more. If you're into video games like me, there are a ton of options as well. And also, don't miss out on some of their motivational quotes if you need some positive vibes anywhere around the house. And I mean anywhere. Use my affiliate link down below to learn more and automatic discount at checkout if you want to show some love for this channel. Thank you so much, and I ultra appreciate you. So for $160 in the box, you get the AIO cooler itself, a couple brackets for Intel and AMD sockets, a bag of screws, a micro USB wire, and 3 ML120 stock fans, which are Corsair's maglev series. So one of the key differences from past models is that the Intel backplate now has 3M adhesive, which allows installation to be a bit smoother. I know from my own experience that when you try to install the backplate for the AIOs, they have a tendency to fall out while you screw the pump on from the front side, unless you held it in place with one hand. So good job on Corsair for paying attention to details like that. Another one is that now the retention brackets are two pieces that clip into the pump instead of twisting on and off like the previous generation models. I think this is a bit more intuitive and easier to do, especially for first-time builders. I know it took me a couple tries when I was first working with AIOs while attempting to align the brackets to the correct orientation with the twist installation. The H150i Pro XT itself does have control over RGB, the fans, and pump using IQ, and now rocks a solid black color theme, unlike the older H series that have a silver block on it. The Pro XT also uses coolant pumps just like Corsair's Platinum series AIO instead of Asetek this time around. The differences between Asetek and coolant is a whole other discussion beyond the scope of this video, so I won't be covering that here. Overall, at this point, I feel that the hardware changes on the new designs are well done and very effective. Now I'm going to show you some thermal and noise level numbers I recorded during my tests to highlight the performance of the H150i Pro XT. The system I'm using contains the following specs, so feel free to pause the video here for yourself. The only overclock I have on is the DOCP for the RAM running at 3200 MHz. Having the Ryzen 9 3950X was a good CPU to test, as it is the highest AMD consumer grade chip before stepping into Threadripper, and it can run pretty hot with 16 cores packed into a 7nm footprint. The Asus X570 Crosshair motherboard and reference 2080 Ti are both also going to play a role in the noise level chart, which I will explain after the thermals. As for the thermal paste, I'll be cleaning off the stock paste and using Noxua's NT-H2 for all three coolers. I also have the decibel meter placed about 12 inches away from the radiator and fans to record noise, and have HW info as well as Ryzen Master to check temperatures. The three AIOs I'm comparing are two of Corsair's H150i's and NZXT's X72 Kraken. Now I know there are other 360mm AIOs out there, I just don't have possession of them or have access to them, so this is what I'm working with. Now the temperature chart shows thermals based on the silent mode and performance mode presets of each of these coolers once they are connected to their respective software, which is Corsair IQ and NZXT Cam. My testing methodology was to stress the CPU as much as I can with Prime 95, which is a very intensive test by running it for 15 minutes in an open air case, and the default stock fans that came with the coolers to find the max and averages when under heavy load. I also tested with the silent mode to see what the numbers look like when the PC is idle. Looking at the results, the Pro XT does indeed take the lead with the lowest temperatures in pretty much every category. The X72 Kraken seems to do better than the H150i Pro during silent operations, and the H150i Pro beats the X72 Kraken in performance workloads. These two coolers basically trade for second place in different areas, but with just a couple degrees delta. Not a huge gap, but still measurable. So far, just from the thermal numbers, I'm going to note here that the average consumer is not going to have or even need something like the $750 3950X. So with these numbers I've tested, I can confidently say that at any of these three coolers would be more than sufficient if you're using anything less than this 16-core chip. Okay, let's talk about the noise level. During silent and small workload operations, the difference between the three are pretty much indistinguishable. However, when ramping up to 100% RPM on the stock fans for max cooling, the Kraken and Pro XT both reach up to mid 50 decibels, whereas the Pro non-XT stays in the 40s, remaining pretty quiet. Another discrepancy I should mention is that the ML120 stock fans are the exact same models on both the Corsair Pro and the Pro XT. The reason why the fans are running at a lower 1600 RPM on the H150i Pro is because it's marketed as a quiet AIO liquid cooler, and they programmed it once plugged in to be capped at 66% RPM. The Pro XT does not have a cap and allows the ML120s to run at the full 2400 RPM for better cooling performance. So with the H150i Pro non-XT, it should be clarified that although the ML120 stock fans are capped at 2/3 of their actual full speed, they are running at 100% of what is allowed on the actual AIO cooler itself by default out of the box. Alright, so earlier I mentioned that the X570 motherboard and the GPU both play a part in the acoustics during testing. The numbers you saw in my noise chart is higher than what is claimed on paper according to both Corsair and NXZT. So theoretically, the H150i Pro XT should be under 40 decibels by itself. However, you also need to factor in the noise coming from the other components of your system to be realistic. So for those of you who do have an X570 motherboard like myself, you know that the PCH fan or the onboard fan can get pretty annoying. And the GPU, my 2080 Ti, will also contribute its own fan noise to the overall system and thus raising the overall sound. With that being said, let's wrap up this video by talking about which one out of the three is the best one to get. So for thermal performance, the Corsair H150i Pro XT is the clear winner. For noise, it's going to be the non-XT version. However, you can also set your own custom fan curves on any of these AIO coolers to achieve the desired noise level that you want or the quietness that you want. But when you consider pricing, at the time of filming this video, the Pro XT is the cheapest one out of the bunch with the best cooling performance. So that is the one that I would pick. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, and thumbs up if you liked this video. Let me know what you think of my review, and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. And as always, I will see you next time. Peace.